Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about the biggest myth in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition player, among the player base, or that is being sold to the player base. That's a better way of saying it. The biggest myth right now is this pervasive, incredibly wrong advice that if everybody's having fun, you're doing it right, right? This is a powerful, powerful myth that continues to be spread by a lot of D&D commentators. It's genuinely believed by them, but it's a horribly shallow misunderstanding of what Dungeons & Dragons is. And it is just fundamentally bad advice that I think is going to prove to be just like Session 0, where a lot of people just talked about it nonstop, and it turned out it was it turned into tears and flames at the end, right? And this whole idea that if you're having fun, you're doing it right, it's going to turn into tears and flames at the end. Just watch. Okay, so first of all, let me explain the Session 0 issue, right? So, truly, like, just hundreds of Dungeons & Dragons commentators were just spouting the same nonsense constantly on their sites. If you're having fun, you're doing it right. There's no wrong way to play D&D, right? Well, I'm sorry. Let me get to the Session 0, sorry. They were saying, Session 0 is the best thing ever. You just openly talk about your game, what you want, what you don't want in your game, and then your game is better, right? And then a little bit later, Jennifer Kretschmer came out and said, oh, remember when everybody was having all that open conversation and talking to their players about what they wanted in the game? Well, when they were saying, hey, what don't you want in the game, what they were really saying is, list all your traumas for me, and then literally traumatizing their player. Jennifer Kretschmer, brilliant commentator. Really, really interesting. First person to roll hard against Session 0, right? And say, you have all been doing Session 0 wrong, right? And so thousands of Session 0s were simply trauma-triggering events for multiple players at the table, right? And nobody knew, right? So why is the advice for, if everybody's having fun, you're doing it right, such terrible, terrible advice? Here's why. As a dungeon master, you don't know if your players are having fun. Now, how do I know this? Well, there's a lot of signals, but recently I noticed one signal for myself, okay? I watched every single episode of WandaVision, 1 through 9. I really did not like that show. I disliked that show passionately. And the reason why is I feel like the writers of that show had no idea what a hero was and no idea what a villain was. And they mistaked presenting a villain as a hero. And it was upsetting to me. I did not like that show. I watched that show immediately every time it came up, right? But I didn't like it, right? And my family actually got a little disappointed with me because each week I would just list all the things I did not like about this show, right? If you looked at my behavior, it looked like I was having fun. It looked like I was showing up and being engaged. I wasn't. I was watching the train wreck that is happening from the NCU. Only reason I watched WandaVision for 9 episodes was I wanted to see if there was any hope for the MCU. Looks like there isn't, right? Looks like it's all just going to turn into tears and flames now that we're into the television era, right? Here's another one, Kenan. It's a brand new sitcom. I really liked Kenan Thompson. I've watched him since Kenan and Kel, and also I watched him in Good Burger, which is a great movie. And I've watched him for many years in SNL, right? He has a new sitcom, which is just the worst, right? It is, so you have Kenan Kel, super funny, super energetic, just the best possible dude you could put into a sitcom, right? So what do? You make it so that his wife just died, and you are connecting with his character as that character goes through grief. Who put this forward as a sitcom idea? It is horrible, right? I watch it every single week. I don't miss it. And the reason why is I'm like, oh, hey, I would really like to see Kenan Thompson's career grow. Is it going to grow? No, looks like it's not, right? But I like Kenan Thompson enough that I'm going to watch the whole series. It doesn't, the whole season. It doesn't matter if it's going to be, if it's good or bad. I want to witness the train wreck, right? But when people are taking metrics and they're saying, oh, this was viewed, they might think that those views are for, because people are engaged and enjoying it. I'm not engaged in Kenan. I'm not enjoying it, right? But that's just it. when you're the dungeon master, you really don't know if your players are having fun. And you're saying, I do. I asked them. I say, are you having fun? Right? I'll tell you right now. If you don't know this, you should learn it. If you ever need to ask somebody if they're enjoying something, they're probably not. Yeah. That's a good tip from Scott Garibay. All right? So just be aware of that, right? Delight is evident. It's never confirmed through questions, right? And Jennifer Kreshmer's got it right. Open communication is not nearly as useful as most of these D&D commentators think it is. And the idea that if everybody at the table is having fun, you're doing it right, is completely wrong, because the reality is the vast majority of dungeon masters do not actually know why their players are at the table. I'm convinced of that. That's my opinion. What's yours? Do you think that that's true, that if everybody's having that? Here's the kicker. Do you think dungeon masters actually know if people are having fun at their game or not? Or if they're there for a different reason, like they're there to be near another player at the table, or if they're there because the dungeon master is terrible, but it's the best dungeon master that's within the proximity of the person, or if the player really dislikes fifth edition, but is playing fifth edition simply because that's the only games that are being filled right now, right? Do you actually think dungeon masters actually know if their players are having fun or not? I'd love to know your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.